Hey guys, this is Dano from Hidden Bigfoot Research Labs. I got my camera pointed at this old janky welder. This thing, it is so old. And it has done so much. It has done so much. Like, I mean, this welder has been around my entire life. I don't know when my dad got it. I think he bought it from my grandpa before I was born, and I'm 32. And in the last 15 years, it ain't been used much. It still works, but like, it needs to be taken apart. The amperage knob needs to be all cleaned, and it just needs to retire. It's been a good one, and I'll still use it for projects. Like anything I've welded on this, I've probably used that. And then moving to my next janky welder. This thing, I gotta get it fixed. I'm gonna wait. I will fix it though. But the speed, that one, the wire speed knob is bad. And it's like I tore it apart to see if, I have a video on it. I tore it apart to see if the switch was something I could clean, but it was just a little chip that plugged into it, a little module, and you just can't really clean a module. So I need to order a new one, but I decided I need a new arc welder. I need a new wire welder, or at least fixed. And if I was gonna put money into a welder, I can do a lot more projects on YouTube if I have a TIG welder, because that's one I don't have. So we ended up ordering this little cheapo, almost made in China welder. Like it was pretty bottom line, and in a pinch I think it would work for a lot of stuff, but it wasn't really a TIG welder. And it did have TIG welding capabilities, but it just wasn't there. And then I had to do it. Bum 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 bum. Here is a titanium. It's still bottom line, I guess, but it's not bad. It's like a mid-grade. This is from Harbor Freight, and it does MIG, arc, and TIG. And I haven't used one of these, but I used one real similar to it. My buddy has it, and I really liked it. I never did any TIG welding. Even his arc, even like arc welding, it just felt better than that old beast. Let me get it out of the box. I actually have it out of the box. I had to check and make sure everything was there. All right, so yeah, this is the Titan Unlimited 200 multi-process inverter, power source, wire feeder, and gun package. MIG, flux core, DC TIG, DC stick. And it comes with, it says it's 120 volts or 220 volts. And here in the shop, I'm going to use the 240. And I say 220. It's real. You'll hear people say 110 and 220, but that's because of voltage loss. Just stuff needs to be able to put out at least 110 by the time you get it. That's how that works. And rough story short, or long story short, but it does come with a 220 to 110 adapter. And when you do that, you would flip the switch to 110 or 120. See, it's so hard for me to do that. I'm so used to saying 110. But you flip that switch to which one you're using. It even had a sticker on it that said error. It will show if you have the wrong combination. But my 220 wiring is way thicker here and can handle a lot more amps than any of my 110 in this shop. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep it on 220. And when you open it up, you think it's lost something, but the MIG gun comes rolled up inside of it. We'll get that out in a minute, because that's really what I'm needing to play with. The arc welders I done mixed up some stuff. Here's the TIG welding tips and rod holders. I don't know the name there. I can't think of it. And then there's the TIG. And see, it has a hose and a plug. It screws into the front of it. I won't be doing TIG welding for anytime soon, but I want to. I used to have a motorized bicycle, and I want to get back into that. Only I want to build a bicycle from the ground up. I've got a few ideas. We'll just have to look at that. But let me get this plugged in. All the boxes out. Oh, and the styrofoam came in the top of the box. But there's the welder I was looking at. It's got some nice little charts on it. And I guess it's for the welder. I figured I'd show you all these. And see, there's the rated cycle for running MIG. And see, I just think that's interesting. But I need to do a little bit of spot welding, tack a couple things up. So let's see how she does. And I am not a good welder, like, at all. I know my problem is I know way too many professional welders. So like every single time I need something welded, I just call a buddy and, hey, come weld this for me. And here's my welder. No, I can weld, but it's just like terrible welding. I mean, it's enough to, like, in a pinch, you know, get me by till I can get a good. I can weld good enough to kind of rig something together until I can get a buddy to come out and do it for me. So I mean, it's still useful, and they don't want to have to haul out their welders. And I want to get better. I mean, welding is all experience, and I just never put the experience in because I know too many good welders. So, you know, it kind of bites me at the same time. Alright, so here's the gauge. And its handle is right there. I'll screw that in at the last. I'm just going to connect it to my argon bottle on this one because I got a brand new bottle, and then I realized the chip was bad, or the module was bad, and it's 75% argon, 25% carbon dioxide. And I don't think I can, like, when I was reading, like, I don't know much about TIG welding. I need to do some research, but I know they're using like 100% argon or 100% CO2. I don't know if that makes a difference. I gotta look that up. Because if I need to get some more bottles for it, I can. Oh, I bet it comes with a couple extra tips. Is the gun put together? There's a little plug. Yeah, the gun's put together. Awesome. And, I have gas, so I can use solid wire. Because I have the shielding gas, which means I don't need flux. And I have an old, bigger wire, but it's kind of got some rust on the outer wire. I need to strip it down and clean it. Or I need to strip it down to the clean wire, but this, we'll just use their wire and see how it works. Alright, well, I unscrewed this knob here. And to get this roll on, slide that on, and then a washer. Does this thing still fit? No. Okay, just set that at the bottom for later. Spring, washer. I don't know if I recorded any of that, but yeah, just set that down in there for later. And then a washer, spring, washer. I just drop that. Alright, you want to make sure that, you see that picture? You want the wire to be fed on the right way. You see how it goes around and then in. Got that kind of spooled. Now let's look at that. Just loosen that up some because I don't know where it's supposed to be set on the wire. And I did notice the package came with a new one of these, and a new one of these, one or the other, for when they wear out. That's got some sort of guide there. There's the voltage. Meg Flux? What's that say? Oh, okay, spool gun. Okay, I got a couple tips. Tip number one, we always like to leave a pair of cutters or a pair of needle nose pliers inside the little tray here. Works great. You always got to set on hand because you constantly need to cut it. You constantly need to work with it, work with this wire, straighten it, mess with it. I mean, they're nice to have. And the second one is to have a clothespin handy. And I'll show you in just a second. I'm going to run the wire through, run it through that little needle, into that hole and out just a little bit. And then I'll feed it into the gun. And it probably would feed through into the wand just fine, but I always like to actually hand thread the gun, or the wand, the spool, this thing. Alright, well, here's what happened. And I just barely moved just a little bit, and like it exploded into like a nest of coils. And then I just started like, I held it halfway, or I held it like as fast as I could catch it. And then like the nest, as I was rolling it back up, I just started unlooping the end one at a time while holding the reel, and it allowed me to reel the reel more. And then when I would get like to the nest, if I started unhooping the end one, I was able to keep progressing just by undoing the hoops at the end until I made it back to the roll. And then after I spent all that time, I realized I probably could have just let the whole thing explode and untwist and then reeled it up onto this little device just as easy. Kind of disappointed it took me that long to figure that out, but that's okay. So I finally got it reeled through this thing. Okay, I'm holding it real tight. We gotta make this quick. You see that roller? You need to have the wire down in the crack and then fed into that little chute. I don't know if I have my wire height right, but it's not spinning, so I think it's okay. I may have to adjust that. I got a couple settings here which I'm not sure what are doing, but I just left it as it is. I may read through the instructions to make sure it's alright. I have it out just a little bit right here. And now I'm going to get that gun, take the bag off, take this controller off, which, there's a lot of problems there. I wonder why that's such a interesting plug. Okay, this looks like it probably could have fed through without me feeding it. Now I'm going to feed it onto that wire and be real careful, and then just slide her in. I wonder where it's supposed to lock at. Alright, it felt like it went in, so I don't think it was supposed to lock. And then I'm going to plug in this plug down here. Yeah, I finally figured it out. It was a little, I just kind of had to rotate it till it went down a little ways, but then it's a little spring-loaded clip, and then that just locks in. Alright. And now I just need to plug it in and get it set up. Alright, so I was looking at what to run my shielding gas at, and from what I was reading, these are not on PSI, but CFT, which is cubic feet per hour. And what I was reading, I guess I can turn that on. Yeah, my gauge came on. That gauge is off. And I want to set it. I'm just screwing that in till it makes contact. Or show some adjustment or something. There it goes. Okay. And when I was reading, it was typically for a 3/8 hose, 15 to 18-ish. But 15 was like roughly the minimum. I'll go up just a tiny. Well, I'm on sheet metal, so that should be fine. Okay. And I'm listening. I don't hear any leaks. I normally have a bottle full of soapy water that I spray on all the connections, but I don't right now. But that's shielding gas, so it's not flammable. Anything flammable, I do try to put soapy water on. I got the welder plugged in to 220. And MIG. Okay, I shut the gas back off because I thought about it. I still got to feed the line, and I don't want to be wasteful. And I was looking up the 4T and the 2T. And if I understood it right, when I squeeze the trigger, the 2T will feed the wire continuous. When I let go, it stops. The 4T, if I'm reading right, you click it, and then it'll strike the arc, and then you click it again. Or I guess click it once, it'll strike the arc and keep feeding. I'll have to look at that. But we are on MIG. We are on. I want to be on 2T. And then I don't even know where to set this stuff at. But we will figure it out. Multi-process. One's going to be the speed. I guess one's going to be the. I'm just going to have to play with it. But. Fan's going good. I have forgot to hook the ground up. Alright, now I got the ground hooked up. Positive for my MIG. That's hooked up. The controller's hooked up. So, okay, that's the wire speed. That's the voltage, and I guess that's the induction. Okay, and we fed our wire through earlier. Now I'm going to get kind of straight. Alright, I'm taking apart the tip, and that should be spooling the wire. Let's make sure it's, I have it tight enough. We just got to work it all the way through to here. There we go. Okay, now feed it through the tip. Tighten it back down. Is it good and tight? And there's a notch on it for like a wrench or crescent wrench. And just make sure not over tighten these guys. I mean, I don't want to say hand tight is good enough. I want to snug them down because the electricity is going through it. I wasn't tightening that whole time. I was just getting a feel. And then slip the cover back on. I just turned my gas back on. I just kind of set it midways with a bunch of settings. I don't know. I'll read it in a second. Here's what I needed to work on. I am building kind of, it's motorcycle class, but it's a reverse trike. And this is kind of the prototype. I'm just basically welding it all together so I can drive it a little bit, see how it feels. And then make modifications and then make it all pretty, cover in carbon fiber, probably even make a new frame. I don't know how big I want it, how small I want it, and this was the easiest way. It's a 3-cylinder Geo Metro standard, so this is gonna be a really cool project. Check out my other videos, and I'm doing one for this too. And I just need to attach this beam, attach another beam right there, and then I'm going to attach this to those beams, and that should get me by for a prototype. Okay, now this spot weld, tack weld, I just went through and I got an old grinding pad, flat disc, whatever you want to call them, and I just ground the paint off, made sure I got a good connection all the way around this pipe. And then I took the tape measure, hooked it onto here, and I have checked square on this car in several different places, and this bar is square. So that makes centering that wheel in a lot easier, because on like that build there, to center it, the front wheel, I had to measure and make a triangle from point to point and make sure everything matched and everything was good. Luckily, I can have a little bit of adjustment there, but as long as I start square, make square, and keep it square and keep everything aligned and centered, I think I'm going to be alright. So now I want to, it's looking good, but I did, like I said, I am square right there, so now I guess I'm going to go ahead and tack this thing in. Okay, before I get started, I wanted to show y'all, here's a trick. The man's passed away, but he was a welder his whole life, and I don't weld a whole lot, so my wire can get a little bit rough and a little bit nasty. But he showed me that if you just clip a little old wooden clothes hanger to your wire right there, and it'll just ride. Maybe it's down here somewhere. It's up here. I need a better clothespin. It's all old and worn out. But this will help keep the wire speed slower and kind of knock off anything before it goes into your gun. I put down a little bit, and I'm still a little hot. I'll have to get the feel of it. But I ground through, and I'm not seeing any bubbles, and it looked like it fused pretty good. I mean, I met into the metal, trying to get a good view for that. Sorry guys, but I mean, it's looking, I can work with this. Yeah, I should be able to put a very nice weld with this. Awesome. Alright, well, I used up that roll of wire, which we have right there, and I went all the way around. I mean, really, it did a pretty good job. I mean, I can definitely work with this, because my weld, as you can see, ain't terrible. In the metal, I was following the jagged metal. I'm gonna cut all this back later. This is just a go-kart right now. I don't know how I want to design it till I know how it feels, because remember, I'm going to move everything up to right behind the seats and build fresh out and get rid of all this sheet metal. But let's see down there, I don't see much. I see a little bubble in, but I just did a lot of fill in. My mask is kind of a really cheap one, and I can't see what I'm doing. I need to order a new mask, and I didn't blow through too much, but there's a little bit of oil on the bottom of this side, or a little bit of the tar stuff. I was having it light up, but I'm about to put in another bar across. But she is definitely tacked on now, and I wanted to show you how to put on this new wheel now that any wire left on this one. Now that we don't have any wire left on this little wheel, see, it wouldn't fit. So, see this wheel, now I'm putting on 0.035 thousandths. I guess is what that would be interpreted as. It runs this way, so I need to put it on like that. Okay. And then I got it unscrewed, slide it through. See, there's even a hole. As long as it's in one of these, it'll probably work, but there's a hole. Probably can't do this one-handed. Put this on, and it's in a reverse thread. Make sure you're still in the hole. And I'm just kind of pulling out since I'm holding the camera. This is so much easier once it locks. There it goes. And then slide that onto the wheel. Alright, it's slid up on there now. Washer washer, and a wing nut. Alright, now I'm going to rethread it, unhook my wire, and run it here. Now, it's been raining a lot lately, but look how much condensation is on that thing. I mean, isn't that something to look at? Alright, hey guys, more reflection of my glasses. Yeah, you can always tell what I'm doing. But, I just realized, I'm sitting here editing, and I just realized I never finished recording the video for when I was checking out that welder, that 3-in-1 welder, or I lost it. I may find the footage later. I have files upon files upon files that are just recordings that I never edited, never upload. I mean, they just say camera dump in whatever month I put it on the computer. Sorry about that. But yeah, I was going to say, the welder, I want to finish this video because I've got it halfway edited, and I realized I'm missing the ending. And it worked good. I got most of the trike welded with the wire welder. I never really played with the TIG because I don't know what I'm doing TIG welding. I did slap together, and I used the argon mix, not even for the wire welder. And I kind of, one of the little cups that snap onto the rig, like I melted through a little bit of the porcelain, so I just stopped. I need to get some gas for the TIG part of it, but I don't think I ever arc welded with it. But yeah, I liked it. I mean, I've got 5 to almost 10,000 miles on, maybe 8,000 miles on that reverse trike. All the welds have held. Everything's worked good. I mean, I've used it a handful of other times. It's still working great. I mean, for maybe it might not work good for an advanced welder, but for everything I need to do, I think I'm going to be able to use that thing for years. And if it messes up, I'll make another video. I'll put it on there, and I'll just do what I can for you guys. But alright guys, thanks for watching. The welder was expensive, but for everything that came with it, I've been looking around, and it wasn't that bad. I mean, because it was definitely way better than the little Chinese welder that we tried first. It's so weird. I keep trying to, I'm looking at my view screen on the camera when I should be looking at the camera eye itself. And it's so weird because it's natural for me to want to see what it's recording. That's why I'm always looking slightly to the right, because right now I'm looking at the screen. Right now I'm looking at the camera, or the actual lens. See, I'm constantly darting over. But yeah, so thank you for watching. Please subscribe and make sure and check out my other videos, and like stuff so that the Google algorithm, I can't even say it, the search engine, whatever, the robot, the YouTube robot, which randomly picks who's going to be the most important person to view. But yeah, that thing. If you like it a lot, put likes. If you subscribe, it makes my search entries get pushed higher. But alright, thank you guys. Lights.